What do you see the Chinese really wanting to get out concretely from this visit? And what about Vietnam, Malaysia and Cambodia? What are they angling for here?
Well, I think overall, we can read this visit in two dimensions. First of all, China is playing defense here, and I think what Beijing really wants to do is to ameliorate and reduce the stress and tensions felt by these three Southeast Asian countries, which are very important because they have a very close economic cooperation with China. So what China is trying to do is nullify the effects of US pressure by offering them more sweeteners in terms of trade and in cooperative projects. And they want to ensure that Beijing wants to ensure that Indo-China is not forced to turn into some sort of anti-China enclave, if I can put it that way. And they want to make sure that Vietnam doesn't cave too much, because since the Vietnamese was the first to go and negotiate, one of the first countries to negotiate with Trump, they don't want to let this case to have demonstrative political knock-on political effects for other countries in case they follow suit. But it's not just defense. I think at the same time, the Chinese are doing a charm diplomatic offensive. They want to show the smaller countries in Southeast Asia, as well as the rest of the world, that China as a major power will treat them very differently in terms of trade, in terms of how, in terms of diplomacy and in terms of politics. From the United States, China is a reliable partner and a forward-looking partner that will respect their sovereignty and decision going forward. So they are not going to strong arm these smaller countries like what the United States is doing with them now. But at the same time, they want to make sure that these countries feel that they are being looked after by the Chinese.
I'm thinking about Vietnam specifically, which is where, of course, Xi Jinping is right now. They have to play a bit of a careful balancing act, don't they? Because, of course, while they do have strong ties with China, they can't be too easily seduced because their partnership with the US is also strong. How should they play it to make the most sense, not just economically, but strategically going forward?
You're absolutely right. I think everyone must remember that Vietnam, as a small country, in recent history has fought the French in the first Indo-China War, the Americans in the second Indo-China War, and the Chinese during the third Indo-China War. And all this, so the two hot wars that have been fought in Asia, the first one was fought in Korea, and the second was fought in Vietnam. The Vietnamese are deeply aware of this balancing act, particularly with the major powers, the Americans, the Russians, and the Chinese. So this is something that is etched in their historical memory. But at the same time, they also understand that in order to have economic developments, they have taken deep lessons from the Chinese, and they want to pursue economic progress the Chinese style. So for the Vietnamese, the cooperation with the Chinese is very important. Close ties with trading ties with the Chinese is very important. But at the same time, they are courting the Americans and the Americans are an external power. They're also a major power. So they see much advantages to work with the Americans. So during this time, I think this is why the Vietnamese are so keen to be one of the first countries to go and talk to Trump, because they realize that the Americans are viewing them as a sort of a backdoor for Chinese exports to America. So and the Vietnamese are struggling to go forward, but they also try to affirm their relationship with the Chinese because they want to leverage against the Americans. They want to tell the Americans, look, if you pressure me too much, I'm going to lean towards the Chinese. So that's what they're doing here, and I think they're doing it very remarkably well.
Okay, doing it astutely. All right, Victor Teo from Singapore, thank you so much for your insight and analysis on the News Hour.
Thank you so much.